It's Thursday, April 9th, 2026, and I have some major severe weather updates for you. A lot of us know we have a very active period of severe weather ahead of us. I'm sure if you're in the plains, you're in the Midwest, you've seen it on social media, you've heard people talking about it, but I think we could have a repeat of this the week after. The pattern just through the rest of April looks crazy. This video, we're going to focus on the short term this weekend into early next week, but I'm telling you, even taking a look out ahead of that, we continue to have these storm systems move in off the Pacific and this really crazy southwesterly flow at the 500 millibar level. So could end up being a pretty crazy April, but I want to dive right into this severe weather outlook. Some videos I start with taking a look at, the temperature outlook, the precipitation outlook, but we're going to get right into the severe weather. We're going to break it down today. All right, starting with our risk zones. I'm going to show you the risk zones through day 7, and then I'm going to break these down. Don't have a ton of time today, so I'm going to get through this video quickly, but I'm going to throw a lot of information at you. All right, day 1, here we go. Marginal risk stretching from the panhandle of Texas through the panhandle of Oklahoma into Kansas, portions of Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. With that slight risk, a little bit more significant of a risk today, 2 out of 5 risk through portions of central to northeastern Kansas, and then in there in southeastern Nebraska. Let's break it down a little bit. We do have a 2% tornado risk. So what does a 2% tornado risk mean? Well, there's a 2% chance that a tornado could touch down within 25 miles of any point in this green risk zone. And this right here is what we call a SIG 1. This is a hatched area. And this just means that tornadoes in this zone with the black dashes could get as strong as EF2. So definitely pay attention today. Make sure you have your alerts on. Let's break this out a little bit more. There's your wind threat for today, a little bit more significant up there in northeastern Kansas. And there's your hail threat. The hail threat is hatched, meaning if you are in this, again, SIG 1, this hatched area, you could get a little bit larger of hail. If you see hail, we're talking about 2-3 plus inch in diameter. Let's go over to our day 2 risk zone now. And this is our categorical. So just a marginal risk through portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. As you can see here, no tornado risk according to the SPC tomorrow. There's a small chance. So I think we may end up getting a 2%, but right now they don't have a tornado risk for tomorrow. Wind risk, 5%, hail risk, 5% for tomorrow. So not as dangerous of a look tomorrow. I also think tomorrow's more conditional, meaning if we do get storms firing off, they could end up being somewhat severe significant, but some of these storms tomorrow are going to have issues getting off the ground. So a little bit of a conditional setup. Now let's get into day 3. This is when things get interesting. Saturday, we start to get our upper level pattern developing, moving in off the Pacific into the southwest. We start to get a much stronger southeasterly southerly flow at the 850 millibar level. That lower level of the atmosphere is what transfers our moisture, our heat, our instability into the region. Day 3, western Texas, watch out. Let's get into our day 4, and I want you guys to watch Dallas-Fort Worth, specifically as we get from day 4 to day 7. Here you go from portions of southern Texas up through Oklahoma into central Kansas. That's our day 4 risk. And again, the day 1 risk is today. The day 2 risk is Friday. Day 3 risk, again, this is Saturday. Day 4, this is our Sunday risk. I'm going to break this down a little bit more for you in a second. Day 5 risk, this is our Monday risk. Notice, 2 days in a row, Dallas, you're still in this Monday risk, and this is stretching all the way up to potentially Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Cloud, Minnesota, up there through Eau Claire, Wisconsin, up into getting close to northern Wisconsin as well. So that's your Monday risk. Now let's get into the Tuesday risk. Guess what? Dallas-Fort Worth, you're still in there, unfortunately. Southern Texas stretching all the way up maybe to Detroit, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Milwaukee, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. All right, so that's your Tuesday risk. And then we get into our Wednesday risk, our day 7, Dallas, you're still in there as well. So Dallas, 4, maybe 5 straight days of severe weather potential here. So this Wednesday risk, this day 7 risk is stretching from Austin, Texas, all the way up past Chicago, Illinois. All right, so let's now break down the next 7 days now that you know where those risk zones are. And here it is for you to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days with Dallas-Fort Worth being in 4 of those days. There's a couple other cities that are in multiple days of severe weather as well around that region. Let's start off with day 1. Here's our day 1 risk zone. Here's the breakout. Obviously, that 2% tornado risk, 5 to 15% hail and wind risk as well. These storms today look to fire off potentially, and storms can always fire off a little bit earlier than expected, a little bit later. So obviously start paying attention as we get into the afternoon. It's better to be safe than sorry. But right now, the latest Rufus, I believe the HRRR is on track with this as well, has storms firing off around 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time, around portions of central to western, potentially southwestern Kansas. And then as we move through the evening, you start to see more storms firing off in northeastern Kansas, southeastern Nebraska, northwestern Missouri, where we do have that 2% tornado risk today. Interestingly enough, this is us taking a look at our CAPE. Our CAPE stands for convective available potential energy. Look at this as instability. What helps to, you can't get severe storms without instability in the atmosphere. You can actually see the swirl in this instability, which is pretty interesting. A little bit of a surface flow happening here. There you go. There's definitely rotation. We don't even need to look at the parameters. This instability is showing us that rotation in the atmosphere. You can see it here too, taking a look at this sounding, lower levels coming out of the southeast. The winds these are southeasterly winds, and then they're rotating as we get up towards the 700 to 500 millibar level halfway up in the atmosphere. You can see these winds are now coming out of the west. So again, definitely the potential for some tornadic supercells, especially up there in northeastern and in the northeastern Kansas region, portions of southeastern Nebraska, northwestern Missouri. Why isn't today more serious? Our upper level pattern isn't fully developed across the central plains here. You can see the winds are a little bit stronger as you move north. We take a look at the low level pattern though, 850 millibar level. We do have some strong shear up there in northeastern Kansas, again, in that kind of region of where Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, and Iowa get pretty close here. And that is why our 2% tornado risk is up there and not across the rest of Kansas or across the rest of the risk zone. All right, so let's get into tomorrow. We have just a marginal risk through portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. Right now, just a 5% wind and hail risk, no tornado risk. Definitely a conditional day, but tomorrow these storms do look to fire off a little bit earlier. I mean, we could see storms fire off potentially as early as 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time, give or take an hour. So start paying attention a little bit earlier on in the day, taking a look at some of the soundings. There's a lot of instability. Here's our instability tomorrow. So there's a lot of energy for severe weather, but taking a look at some of these soundings, there's what we call inhibition. I do think some of these storms are going to struggle to initiate at all. You take a look at the upper level pattern tomorrow. There's not much going on. It's pretty weak at the 500 millibar. And then you take a look at the low level pattern. We have some shear down here, but again, nothing crazy jumping off the map. You actually see the rotation right here. So kind of a surface low forming with that shear around it. That's why I'm also saying there's always a little bit of a tornado risk anytime you have kind of some vorticity in the atmosphere. So something to watch tomorrow, but not looking super crazy. Saturday is when things start to look more serious. Western Texas, you can see we have this 15% risk for severe weather and that 5% stretching up through Kansas around it. I want to focus on Western Texas right now. Just taking a look at the updraft helicity, future reflectivity on the Rufus model. Now, you don't want to make your kind of forecast off of looking at the updraft helicity reflectivity, but I will say it looks pretty impressive. The Rufus is typically a little bit more aggressive than other models, so take this with a grain of salt. Lots of storms beginning to fire off, potentially 1 p.m. as we move into Saturday. Timing will change now that we're getting into day 3. We need time for this stuff to adjust. But we're watching New Mexico, Western Texas on Saturday. Why is this looking a little bit more serious? Well, look at our lower level pattern, and it really starts to kick on later as we get into kind of the mid-afternoon towards the evening hours on Saturday. Look at this shear at the lower levels. Strong southeasterly flow. This is going to be transporting all of this moisture, heat, instability off the Gulf, and it's going to bring it right. It's going to be bringing it right over kind of central to Western Texas into Oklahoma, southern Kansas. So a lot of instability at the low levels on Saturday. You take a look at what's happening with the upper level pattern, and you have that 500 millibar. This is the upper level pattern. This 500 millibar is the steering current for our severe weather and helps to enhance it. And you're seeing these winds beginning to pick up in this region as well at the 500 millibar level. You can also see what's happening on Saturday when we zoom out. Again, you see that southeasterly flow, that southerly flow, bringing a lot of instability, a lot of moisture, a lot of potential issues into the southern plains especially. All right, let's take a look at our day 4. This is our Sunday risk zone. Now Dallas here involved. Obviously, you can see Oklahoma City. This is big portion of Texas, Oklahoma, and then central to southern Kansas. Again, this is Sunday. Now, we don't have our short ranges in range for Sunday, but you can see on the GFS where it wants to put this severe weather right here through portions potentially of eastern Kansas, Oklahoma, and then down through central Texas. Once again, you see that upper level pattern developing over this region here. We take a look at what's happening at the low level pattern and significant shear at the lower levels. So there's going to be a tornado threat likely on Sunday. You have that kind of west southwesterly flow into this southerly flow. So kind of those crosswinds at the low and mid levels. That's going to cause a little bit of rotation. This is going to be an all hazards day, wind, hail, and tornadoes. Now we get into Monday, and now Dallas, you're still in it, like I said, and this is stretching from Texas all the way up through Minneapolis. So or from Dallas up to Minneapolis, so portions of Texas to Minnesota. You don't see much on the future reflectivity, but this doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I think the GFS just isn't catching on here. Take a look at the 500 millibar Monday. You see you have this strong southwesterly flow. So this is now across from the southern plains all the way up into the upper Midwest. You take a look at what's happening here at the lower levels, and you have all of that shear as well from Texas all the way up through Minnesota and Wisconsin. And then getting into Tuesday, Dallas, once again, you're in this threat. It's harder to tell what's going to happen out this far, but you can see what's happening on the GFS here. You can see where the severe weather is wanting to set up. We could end up with more of a QLCS setup here, so quasi-linear convective system, squall line. And with this, you can get a lot of rotation. You can get a lot of vorticity. So there's potential on Tuesday for, right now, a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings and a lot of tornado warnings if you get a significant squall line setup stretching from portions of the Great Lakes region all the way down into the southern plains. More of a discrete setup can sometimes be more dangerous for individual storms, but a setup like this can be more widespread. You can have a lot more going on. These are the days where you can get the 20, 30, 40 plus severe thunderstorm tornado warning. So really something to watch out for Tuesday. We have to see how this develops. And then getting into Wednesday, once again, Dallas, you're in there. Again, this is a little bit far out. I don't want to go into too much details, or I don't want to get into too many details on Wednesday. This is, again, we're talking about almost a week out now. But again, each day I try to just bring you the latest and break it down for you. Really quickly before I wrap up this video, I know some people are interested in the kind of temperature updates real quick. I'll just do this in 30 seconds. 6 to 10 day, it's warm, guys. It's warm across the country. 8 to 14 day outlook, it's pretty warm as well. If you're up there in the northern tier states, the Northwest, you might be closer to average over the next couple weeks, which is pretty nice. We take a look at our multi-day, 2-day precipitation forecast from the Weather Prediction Center. Lots of precipitation is going to start to move in, obviously, across portions of the Central Plains into the Great Lakes region. Then you see it out here as well from the Cascades down through the Sierra Nevada. Could be some snow for the high elevations out there. Let's push all the way out to 5 days. Tons of rainfall for the plains up into the upper Midwest Great Lakes region, and a lot of moisture potentially for the Cascades down through the Sierra Nevada out there. We're gonna have to watch out for some flooding concerns out there, and all the way out to 7 days. Kind of same type of thing, but look at this precipitation stretching from Texas all the way up through Wisconsin, Michigan, even into portions of Indiana, out there into inner New England, portions of Minnesota. So these are kind of the areas we're going to be watching, obviously, for flooding concerns in the short to medium term. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see anytime I post a video or anytime I go live. I will be live later tonight trying to answer all of your questions and giving you the latest updates with everything severe weather ahead. It's really what we're focusing on now. This potentially some snow activity on the northern or northwestern end of some of these severe systems, which I can answer those questions as well if you have any questions about snow or anything else. I mean, we're also getting closer to hurricane season, so I like to kind of talk about whatever in the lives. I'm sure most of my questions and most of the conversation is going to be surrounding this severe weather, though. Also, I have a Discord with updates every single day, everything from severe weather to winter weather to tropical weather to climatology. My Discord's 100% free, almost 700 weather enthusiasts in there already. You can click the link right down in the description below to join my Discord. I always say it costs you nothing, it just costs me money. Once again, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video, or I'll see you in the live later tonight. I usually get on at around 8 to 9 p.m. Central Time, so I'll see you then.